President Trump hitting the campaign trail again with the midterms rapidly approaching. The commander-in-chief is holding a rally tonight in Tennessee, as well as a fundraiser for Republican Senate candidate Congresswoman Marsha Blackburn. Joining me now to discuss this is former Hillary Clinton presidential campaign advisor and Blueprint Strategy founder and CEO Antjuan Seawright. Also joining me is Trump 2020 Advisory Board member Marc. Great to see you guys. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Antjuan, let me get your reaction. The president goes on this campaign trail with a lot of successes under his belt, and he notched another one up this weekend with a new NAFTA.
Well, I think the president is going to his comfort zone. His comfort zone is definitely on the campaign trail. His comfort zone is throwing out red meat, right-wing rhetoric to rally his base. His poll numbers are on life support. I think most of the candidates who are wrapping their arms around Donald Trump have this fear of what that could mean. I think Democrats are motivated. I think Democrats, the enthusiasm gap is still on our side. And it could be very problematic. Look, if you look at that race in Tennessee, for the first time in a very long time, Democrats are within striking distance of flipping a Senate seat in a very red state. And so I think Congresswoman Marsha Blackburn has reason to be concerned and has to be very careful of how much she embraces Donald Trump and his failed policy agenda.
Well, I don't know about that because, you know, Marc, given the fact that we just came off of this contentious week around Brett Kavanaugh, people are wondering if the misconduct, the dirty tricks, given the fact that there was no evidence whatsoever to support Christine Blasey Ford's story. House Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy joined me yesterday on Sunday Morning Futures and basically said things have changed, and he used the word drastic going into the GOP prospects for the midterms. Listen to this. Over the preceding weeks, a lot of people have been saying, oh, it's in the bag, the House is going to flip. Has that changed?
I think it's changed drastically. We look at just the absentee ballots, those who are requesting ballots prior. That has increased over the last week. We look at volunteerism coming into the campaign. We look at things that are happening online.
Marc, your thoughts?
I think the leader said it very well, and we are seeing that enthusiasm. Just go back to the primaries in Florida a few weeks ago where you had record Republican turnout in those primaries, and those are going to be very contested races. Look, when it comes down to Tennessee, these are about local issues, local candidates. But what you also have to remember is if you're voting in that Senate race in Tennessee, you've got to remember that one side is going to vote against Judge Kavanaugh. They're going to vote with Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, and Maxine Waters. That's where they belong. They're going to go over to the radical left. If you vote for Congresswoman Marsha Blackburn, you're going to continue the growth that we've seen, continuing the leadership that's got the economy roaring, jobs coming back, and now a new NAFTA trade deal, which is exactly what the president promised he would do.
Antjuan, what about that?
Marc, you are repeating the Donald Trump talking points and probably previewing what we hear tonight. The bottom line is not even all Republicans are fully on board with the U.S. Senate Republican candidate in Tennessee. You want to talk about Florida? There was historic Florida turnout on the Democratic side of well. There's been historic turnout from Democrats everywhere throughout our primary season. So if you want to talk about turnout, let's have the argument. What Republicans cannot underestimate is the power of independence, the power of women, and the power of this issue called health care. That will be the #1 issue going into the midterms. The Republicans have failed on the issue, and that's why you see Democrats on the offense talking about issues that I think will galvanize and excite the American people. And no, this election will not be determined how a senator votes or does not vote on Judge Kavanaugh.
But Antjuan, you can't be happy. You can't be happy about the way that, you know, Kavanaugh and Christine Blasey Ford were handled last week. You know, Ford wanted to be anonymous. The Democrats threw her under the bus and basically leaked it to the media. And then she was a complete spectacle.
Well, we don't know that, Martha. Martha, well, #1, we don't know who leaked it to the media. #2, the only thing the Democrats have been asking for up until this point, I think, was an FBI investigation. And so now that we know that, we'll see what this week brings. Look, I have my own issues with Judge Kavanaugh taking away the sexual assault allegations. Look, whether it's vote ID, whether his stance on Obamacare, whether he says an assault weapon is unconstitutional, I have my own concerns about his nomination to the nation's highest court. The sexual assault allegations, if they're true, would be just another page in the catalog of issues that Antjuan Seawright had concern with.
Marc,
over and over again, Democrats are just going to argue all of these things. It's the results that matter. The president has them. We need to continue that. That's what the voters are going to come out to do, because the Democrats are just running on a platform of resistance, raising taxes, more socialized health care, government jobs and income. It's the same old bag of tricks over and over again. You'll hear it tonight in Tennessee.
Marc,
we'll win that Senate race.
Is it
Marc,
though, Antjuan? What is the platform, would you say, going into the midterms? What's the platform for the Democrats? Because we hear a lot of resist, but what's actually the message in terms of doing something for the American people?
Well, I just said access to affordable quality health care, livable wages in this country, make sure we have an economy that works for everyone.
But whose plan is that? I haven't heard any details. I hear it from you, but I haven't heard any details from the leadership in the party in terms of access to health care. You say that's important and you say that's a platform, but I haven't heard one thing about it from anyone in power.
Martha, I've heard that.
By the way, it's Maria. Antjuan, it is Maria. This is Maria.
I'm sorry.
I appreciate it.
I'm sorry, Maria. Maria, it is. You've heard it from Andrew Gillum in Florida. That's why he won his primary. He talked about how the Republicans in the state of Florida have failed on the issue of expanding Medicaid. We've seen it.
He talked about raising taxes on one of the most economically successful states in the country. Not going to work.
We've seen these issues being talked about by candidates up and down the ballot all across the country. And I'm so thankful that they're talking about issues, and the Republicans can't say it's just an anti-Donald Trump agenda or a resistance agenda. Martha. Maria. I'm sorry. I'm joking with you, Maria. I know.
Oh, God.